I want us to take a short discussion here concerning uh, hire purchase, and this is to do with um, taxation part of it. However, hire purchase is quite important in other areas apart from the taxation aspect of the hire purchase concept. But the first thing that you should ask yourself is what is hire purchase? How does hire purchase concept operate? Now, hire purchase arises in those situations whereby you purchase goods from the seller, but you don't pay the entire amount. What happens is that you pay what you call a deposit, and then you will continue to use that particular good as you as well continue to pay the balance in form of installments. Important thing to note here is that hire purchase is involved in mostly non-current assets which are movable, like machines, things like television sets, radios, furniture, and such other items. So to say that you cannot use hire purchase in purchasing immovable property such as land. Items like inventory, like stocks, we don't apply the concept of hire purchase with the stocks. For the stocks, you just have a credit purchase. You take the goods, you consume the goods, and then you pay the invoice price. However, for hire purchase, what is involved is items like expensive machines or furniture, radios, things like television sets. These are the items that you mostly find in hire purchase agreements. So we've said that with a hire purchase, you pay initial amount, the deposit, and then once you pay the deposit, you will start to use this particular asset as you continue to use the asset. And as you continue using the asset, you'll be paying the deposit. That is the balance in terms of equal installments. Take, for example, if I've given you a purchase price of 1,000,000 shillings, then I'll tell you pay 100,000 shillings as the deposit. Then there is the remaining 900,000, which is the balance remaining, because the purchase price is 1,000,000 shillings. So if you pay 100,000, that's the deposit, and then this remaining 900,000, we agree that you pay 12 equal installments. So it means each month you'll be paying 750,000 shillings. That is, no, 75,000 shillings. That is, because I think 900,000, the balance remaining, if you divide by 12, you get 75,000 shillings. So each month you'll be paying 75,000 shillings each month for the next 12 months. And therefore, after 12 months, you will have cleared the balance of 900,000 shillings. So if you take the 900,000 shillings plus the 100,000 deposit which you made then you have the total hire purchase price. Usually, hire purchase price is always higher than the cash price. So if you were to purchase for an asset on cash basis, if you are given two options to either purchase the asset on a cash basis, and then you are given the higher purchase option, by the end of the day, you find that the higher purchase price is higher than the cash price. This is because of a few financial concepts which, if maybe you are doing finance or you have done finance, you understand the reason why you pay higher, for example, for what we call the cost of maybe the what you call maybe the time value of money, or things like the risk involved to cater for the risk basically, or because of the time value of money. Now, why are we paying more if you are using higher purchase? Because you are not paying today. If you are paying the balance in 2 years' time or after 1 year, as compared to if you paid today, the value of money today is different if compared to the same amount of money, the value of the same money in the future. In the future, that money will have lost value. So who is to meet for that particular uh, uh, aspect of money losing the purchasing power? It is the customer. If, for example, you have 1,000 shillings today, what the 1,000 shillings can purchase today will be different from what the same amount can purchase in 2 years' time. Maybe 1,000 shillings can have a basket of goods from a supermarket, but the same 1,000 shillings 2 years to come can have half or 75% of the total products that you could have purchased maybe some years back. So this is called time value of money. So the reason as to why you have to pay higher is when you are using higher purchase is because of the time value of money. Money loses the purchasing power as time goes on due to things like interest rates, changes in interest rates, and things like inflation. The other reason why you pay more in higher purchase is because of the risk factor. Again, those who are taking finance, you have the concept of systematic risk as well as unsystematic risk. So basically, the reason again why you pay more for goods which are purchased on higher purchase basis is to meet the the risk, to cater for the risk. Okay, away from that, the other thing now that we can maybe look at is what are the advantages? What are the advantages of higher purchase to the seller? I'll just be giving you one or two. Now, one advantage of higher purchase to the seller is that it increases the sales volume of the seller. Another advantage is that, as we have said, higher purchase is always higher as compared to cash price. So, in that case, you find that you are generating more sales revenue as the seller, because as we have said, higher purchase is always higher than the cash price. That's one advantage. Now, mention disadvantage with the higher purchase to the seller is situations where there is default in payment. So if the seller or the purchaser, in that case, if the purchaser does not pay for the goods, what will happen is that the seller will repossess the goods, will take back these goods. So in that case, he may be taking back the goods, which definitely is the case here. The goods which are being repossessed by the seller, they have already been used, so they are sort of second hand. So it may become difficult to get a new purchaser who is willing to purchase these goods in the future. So that's a major disadvantage of hire purchase agreements with respect to the seller. Now, I've given you one advantage and one disadvantage. I can also look at an advantage of hire purchase to the purchaser. And the major advantage is that you start using the goods even before you complete making all the payments. You are able to start using, you are able to start using the goods even before you complete the payment. That's one. That is very important. You don't need to have all the money with you to purchase these goods. So it enables you as the purchaser to acquire even very expensive products which you are not able to afford if you were to get them on cash basis. That's a major advantage. Now, a disadvantage on the side of the purchaser, a disadvantage here is that the purchaser does not own the goods. That is, ownership belongs to the seller. What the purchaser is having is what we call possession. The seller is only possessing the goods. The seller is not, that's the purchaser, in other words. The purchaser only possesses the goods, is in possession of the goods. He does not own the goods. So ownership passes to the seller the moment he completes making all the installments as agreed. That is the point when the ownership of these goods passes from the seller to the purchaser. Now you can see, basically, I'm just trying to give a rough or simple or summarized meaning or explanation of what hire purchase is all about. So it is basically those situations where some goods or their agreements is mostly in the sale of goods. It is the sale of goods, whereby the seller agrees to sell the goods to the purchaser, whereby the purchaser only pays a deposit, and then as he continues using these goods, he will also as well be paying the balance in terms of installments. And I have given you an example whereby we have a product which costs 1,000,000 shillings, and then we agree that you pay a deposit of 100,000 shillings, and the remaining balance of 900,000 shillings you pay for that balance by installments. And each installment you are paying 75,000 shillings for the next 12 months. It therefore means once you pay this deposit of 100,000 shillings, after 1 year, when you complete the payment of the 12 installments of 75,000 shillings each, then these goods will now be yours. That is, the ownership will pass from the seller to the purchaser. That is what is involved in hire purchase. Okay, having that in mind, I will focus now on something else which is to do with taxation of hire purchase companies. How do we tax hire purchase companies? Because this lesson is mostly to do with I'm focusing on how these hire purchase companies pay taxes, because we pay them actually with the money that they are receiving, their their business income. How do we tax the business income of hire purchase companies? The concept of allowable incomes, that is the concept of allowable and disallowable expenses for businesses also applies in taxable incomes, and non-taxable incomes also is important. It applies here, so don't forget that concept. And then the other part that is important is now establishing how much are we receiving in terms of income from the deposits from the customers and the remaining installments that we are receiving. And what happens in those situations where the seller repossesses the goods in those situations? Now, I want us to take some examples here, illustrations from past papers, and this is advanced taxation. Advanced taxation for CPA, Certified Public Accountants, or Kasneb, and I want us to take an example here for the purpose of revision. Now, let's move on, having in mind the meaning of hire purchase, having in mind the concept of hire purchase. Now, having in mind the concept of hire purchase, I want us to look at a question from past papers. A question from past papers. Now, and this will be the question that I want us to take together will be April 2024. April 2024. April 2024. We just want to see how the paper looks like. Now, what we are taking is that. What we are taking is that. What we are taking is that April 2024 is what we are taking. That is what we are taking. We are taking April 2024, April 2024, advanced taxation, and the question is question 5B. You have your past papers with you. You ought to have downloaded those papers. You ought to have downloaded the papers. I believe you have the past papers with you, the downloaded papers, so that you may move together. Now if you have not downloaded the paper, I'll present it to you. But it is advisable to be having those papers Now let's go through that question together. Now we are told, let's see what the question is about. We are told that the following information was presented to you by the following information is 5C. The following information was presented to you by the management of Smart Tech Limited for the year ended that 1st December 2023. The company deals in the sale of a variety of laptop models and sells them entirely to college and university students on hire purchase terms. Okay. One, Smart Tech Limited buys laptops at shillings 40,000 each. Number two, the higher purchase price per unit comprises of a deposit of shillings 12,000 plus 8 quarterly installments of shillings 6,000. The cash price per unit is shillings 15,000. Number three, for the year ended that 1st December 2023, a total of 2,460 laptops were sold, and the company and received total cash of shillings 86,600,000 from their sales. Number four, during the last quarter of the year, 100 laptops were repossessed, and the students and already paid shillings 2,400,000 on the repossessed laptops. This amount was included in the total cash collections for the year. Number five, expenses incurred in the course of the year comprised of one, rent expense of shillings 420,000. Prepaid rent is at 1st January 2023 and at 1st December 2023 amounted to shillings 180,000 and shillings 60,000 respectively. Legal expenses of shillings 1,200,000, out of which shillings 320,000 was in respect of defense against copyright license infringement. Marketing cost of shillings 525,000, out of which 4% was in respect of donation to Leo University Research and Development Fund, and shillings 120,000 for erection of signposts. Salaries and management expenses of shillings 89,000. These included renewal of employment contracts of shillings 100,000 and provision for salary increment of shillings 200,000. Installation of CCTV cameras at shillings 200,000. Number six, Smart Tech Limited had agreed with the Revenue Authority that profits for tax purposes should be computed on the basis of proportionate cash collected from the customers for the year sales. Number seven, other incomes of Smart Tech Limited included revenue, that is income from lease of 20 laptops to Leo University at a lease charge of shillings 3,000 per month for the whole year. Sale of 5 defective laptops at shillings 15,000 each. Dividend from a unit trust of shillings 120,000 gross. Required, compute the total taxable income or loss of Smart Tech Limited for the year ended that 1st December 2023. Now that is your question. Now you can look at your question and try to understand each concept there. Try to look at from point 1 all the way up to point number 7. Now I will show you what we are supposed to do. I'll show you what we are supposed to do. Now we've said that with the hire purchase, what you usually do is that you pay deposit and then start using these goods. The agreement is that if you don't pay the balance, the owner can come and repossess the goods. So you will have paid the deposit, the balance you are paying by installments in that case. Now for the purpose of taxation now, I want to explain what we are supposed to do in that particular question. Now what you do is that the first thing for the purpose of tax, we need to know what is the total sales. What is our total sales? Now our total sales here will be 60,000 we multiply by 2460. Now 60,000 means that we know how to calculate hire purchase price. It is something that you know. How do you calculate hire purchase price? You take the deposit plus installments. How much installments are you making? And how much are you paying for each installment? So you'll be given how much you are paying per installment. You multiply by the number of installments plus the deposit. So what is our hire purchase price in that case? Now we have been told there is a deposit of 12,000. Now if you read point number 2, if you read your point number 2, you have been told that point number 2, the hire purchase price per unit comprises of a deposit of shillings 12,000 plus 8 quarterly installments of shillings 6,000, and the cash price per unit is 50,000. Okay. Now, hire purchase price, we have said that the first thing is to establish how much to pay. The sales. What is your total sales? What is your total sales? Now, hire purchase price, as I have told you, we have taken 12,000 plus 12,000. Number 12,000 is a deposit. You are told point number 2. Point number 2, the hire purchase price per unit comprises of a deposit of 12,000. So you must pay 12,000 first as a deposit. The 12,000 is not the final amount that you are paying. You are only paying this one as a commitment, 12,000. Take the goods. As you continue using these goods, you'll be paying the balance. You'll be paying the balance by installments each month. So the hire purchase price in this case, we are taking the 12,000 plus the installments now, which are 8. So we are told there are 8 quarterly installments of 6,000 each. So 8 times 6. So your hire purchase price will be deposit plus installments. Your hire purchase price in this case will be a deposit of 12,000 plus 8 times 6,000, which is 60,000. Okay, so you can see basically to get the higher purchase price, we have used point number 2. The higher purchase price per unit comprises of deposit of 12,000. So deposit of 12,000, then you plus 8 times 6,000. You sum the two, and what you get is something to do with what's the final figure that you get is 60,000 is the higher purchase price basically, and I've also been given the cash price. Now this particular section here, let me present what I'm saying. Show you are working somewhere. You can just show you are working somewhere. I'm saying with that particular portion, the higher purchase, you can just read from this working. The higher purchase price is equals to deposit. Deposit we have said is 12,000 plus installments, which means 12,000 plus 8,000 times 6,000. So we are paying 8 installments. 8 installments. In each installment, you are paying 6,000. That is what you are told in point number 2. 8 installments times 6,000. You plus deposit of 12,000. So the higher purchase price is 60,000. You are told the cash price is 50,000. You are told the cash price is 50,000. I've told you that because of the time value of money, the higher purchase price is always higher. The higher purchase price is higher than the cash price. Okay, that one we have discussed. So you are able to know how to calculate the higher purchase price. You take the deposit. You take the deposit plus you open the brackets. Take the number of installments. You multiply by the installment, or what you pay per installment. Now let's move together step by step. So let's have our solution. Remember, it is advanced taxation. Advanced taxation, May 2024, question 5C. So I want you to have the first working, have it as sales. 60,000 times 2460. You get 147,600. So 60,000 is the higher purchase price. I've shown you how to calculate that. Okay, have that. Then, while we are multiplying by 24, while we are multiplying by 2460, is because we are told point number 3. We are taking the higher purchase price of 60,000 times point number 3. For the year ended at 1st December 2023, a total of 2460 laptops were sold. So then, 60,000, you're taking 60,000 times 24 times 2460 times 2460. sales is 60,000 times 2460, 147,600. Less repossession of laptops. Those laptops which were repossessed. Those laptops which were repossessed. We are told somewhere. We are told somewhere the laptops which were repossessed. The laptops which were repossessed. 100 of them. We are told 100 laptops were repossessed. Is that the number of laptops? We have to less that particular portion of the laptops which were repossessed. Try to find out that the laptops which were repossessed is point number 4. Point number 4. You are told during the last quarter of the year, 100 laptops were repossessed, and the students had already paid shillings 2,400,000 only the repossessed laptops. Now note that if when the items are being repossessed or taken back, you lose even what you have paid. So what they had paid will not be refunded. The seller repossesses the goods, and then whatever you have paid, the deposit, including some installments, you end up losing. You end up losing everything else. You end up losing everything else. Okay, so 100 laptops were repossessed. So 100 you multiply by 60,000, the higher purchase price. We had sold them at the higher purchase price of, we got higher purchase price of 60,000, and then you multiply by the number of laptops which were repossessed. So you are taking 60,000 times 100 computers, which is giving us 6 million. So that is the first part of your workings for that particular question. That is the first portion. I believe you are writing. So you have taken the sales 60,000, which is the higher purchase price, times 2460. I think the number of computers which were sold that particular year. We less repossession of laptops. The laptops which were repossessed we less. They were 100 and they had been sold at 60,000. That figure there. You less 6 million and you get net sales of 141,600. 141,600. Then you go to cost of sales. Now we know how to take cost of sales. Opening stock plus purchases minus closing stock. That is what you do in financial accounting or financial reporting. Opening stock in this case, in this question, there is no opening stock. Our opening stock is 0. Then purchases. We were purchasing these items, I think at 40,000 shillings, and we purchased 2460. Now let me confirm that. Okay, my opening stock is 0. We are not given any opening stocks there. But my purchases, did we purchase 4,000 computers? Okay, if you check point number 1, you are told that Smart Tech Limited buys the laptops at shillings 4,000 each. Your point number 1 tells you that Smart Tech Limited buys the laptops at shillings 40,000 each. At shillings 4,000 each. So out of the 4,000 shillings, so what is our total purchases in that case? if each laptop we are buying at 4,000 each, we are told in point number 3, for the year ended at 1st December 2023, a total of 2460 laptops were sold. Point number 3. So what we are assuming that whatever we purchased is what we sold. Point number 3. For the year ended that 1st December 2023, a total of 2460 laptops were sold. 2460. So what we sold is what we purchased. You can see 2460 is the same figure that we are using to calculate our sales. The same figure that we are using to calculate our sales. The 2460 here is the same figure we're using here. So purchases, we are purchasing these computers at 4,000, but we purchased 2460 units. So total purchases is 98,400. 98,400. We less repossession. There are those computers which were repossessed. There were 100 of them. We repossessed at the price at which we purchased them, 4,000. So less repossession, 4,000 times 100. We were told that 100 computers were repossessed. We are told 100 computers were repossessed, and when we repossess the computers or the items, is point number 4. Your point number 4. During the last quarter of the year, 100 laptops were repossessed. So this 100 you multiply by 40. Smart Limited buys the laptops at shillings 4,000 each. So if you repossess the items sold on hire purchase, then the value should be based on the amount at which you bought them. So your cost of sales part now, you look at cost of sales now, opening stock is 0, purchases 98,400, you less repossession 4,000, 98,400 plus 4,000, 94,400. So net sales minus the net sales is 141,600. You minus cost of sales, you minus 94,400. The gross profit is 47,200. We earn other incomes. The other incomes that we have, we earn other incomes, which is lease of 20 laptops and sale of defective laptops. So we list 20 laptops at 3,000 each for 12 months. We multiply that, 20 times 3,000 times 12 is 360,000. We sold a defective laptop for 15,000. There were 5 of them, 75,000. So these are other incomes there. These two. Now those other incomes, where are we getting them from? Where are we getting those items? These items, you get them from additional information number 7. Additional information number 7. We are told other incomes of Smart Tech Limited. Income from lease of 20 laptops to Leo University at a lease charge of 3,000 per month for the whole year. So 20 times 3,000 times 12. Then sale of 5 defective laptops. 15,000 times 5. Okay, now you've shown that you're working. You should be writing and showing all those steps. We move on. Now, once you have done that, you take, you can sum up those figures for 7,000. Maybe you sum up the two. Okay, let's have well, the next thing that you'll be doing is lessing expenses, allowable expenses, less allowable expenses. Now, the first thing is to do is rent. Is rent. Now, rent is an allowable expense. And we know the concept of allowable expenses and disallowable expenses. These expenses, you don't tax them, you should deduct them. Any expense which is incurred wholly for the purpose of generating business income, we don't tax them, like rent, electricity, water, salaries and wages. Okay, we don't tax them. Rent is an allowable expense, therefore, we shouldn't less rent. But this additional information number 5, for us to get the correct amount of rent, we need to show some workings to get the exact figure, because we are told in number 5, expenses incurred in the course of the year comprised of 1. Rent expense of shillings for 20,000. Prepaid rent as at 1st January 2023 and at 1st December 2023 amounted to shilling 180,000 and 60,000 respectively. We know the concept of prepayments and accruals. Prepaid expenses, a prepaid expense is an asset, and an accrued expense is a liability. Now, you have been given prepaid expense, you've been given the prepaid expense by the start, the prepaid expense by the start of the year. Now, that figure was given at 180,000. And then the closing figure is given at 60. Is given at 60,000, the closing figure. Now, because it is a prepaid expense, and you have said prepaid expenses are assets. So the balance brought forward, which should be on the debit side, you write balance, you just draw a T account and you say balance brought forward on the debit side of your T account, 180. Then on the credit side, you write balance carried down, you put 60. Then you are given the rent expense for that particular year was for 20. So for 20, you bring it on the debit side of your T account. Because this was actual cash movement. We paid for 20. In the cash book, you credit cash book, you debit now this particular, your T account. So your 420 goes on the debit side. And the balancing figure will be 540, because it is 420 plus 180, which is 600, minus 60, which is 540. So our rent expense for that particular year will be 540. So when I use 440 as my rent expense, that is what I mean. So rent, we have said rent is an allowable expense. Rent expense of shillings for 20,000. Prepaid rent is at 1st January 2023 and that 1st December 2023 amounted to shillings 180,000 and shillings 60,000 respectively. So I want to see, you see, We usually use the accrual basis when it comes to income statement. So rent, in my calculations, you'll find that I have used rent of 540 as an allowable expense. Now the rest now you can check. Rent 540. Legal expenses is allowable, but that particular portion you have to less 320. Now legal expenses. Now is it relating to business? Are we defending the business? We are told legal expenses. Legal expenses. That portion which is allowable for legal expenses, we are told legal expenses of shillings 1,200,000, out of which shillings 320,000 was in respect of defense against copyright license infringement. So the 320 is disallowable. So the only portion which can be allowable for legal expenses is what remains. That portion which is to do with infringement of copyrights is disallowable. So the remaining portion, which we assume now relates to maybe defense of business for other reasons which may be allowable, is what to be left. So legal expenses 1200 minus 320, 880. Marketing cost 525 minus 120, and salary and management, you are left with 590. So you can look at marketing cost and salary, how you can find out the reason for that from the question. I believe you understand the concept of so your marketing cost 525,000, out of which 4% was in respect of donations. Marketing costs of shillings 525,000, out of which 4% was in respect of donation to Leo University Research and Development Fund, in shillings 120,000 for direction of signpost. Salaries and management expense of shillings 89,000. These included renewal of employment contracts of shillings 100,000 and provision for salary increment of shillings 200,000. Now, I believe you do not have a challenge with allowable expenses. So allowable expenses should be deducted. So you can see with that portion, what we are doing with allowable expenses, we are lessing them. Then investment allowance now, we know what investment allowances are. We have wear and tear for CCTV, wear and tear for signposts. We have only two items which qualify for wear and tear. One is CCTV, which qualifies, which has 10% and signpost 10%. We know wear and tear replaces depreciation. We have done capital allowances. Now, CCTV, you find it in additional information number 5. This CCTV, installation of CCTV cameras at shillings 200,000. And then the other item which qualifies for wear and tear is signpost, which is part of the marketing. Point number 5, bullet 3. Point number 5, bullet 3. And the other part, now once you have gotten that, by the end of the day, you are through with your calculations. So you are able to obtain your unadjusted profit. we are able to obtain our unadjusted profits at 44,864. So you can make a follow-up of what you have done all the way to the investment allowances and adjusted profit is there. Now, what the last part now that I want you to understand is that mostly with the hire purchase agreements, with the other companies, most of the times you'll be using that percent of the profit. If a company reports a profit, we usually take that percent of that. That percent is a corporate tax rate. That percent is a corporate tax rate. But with the hire purchase agreements, the situation is slightly different. Now, using this same example, I want to show you what I'm saying here. Now, look at point number 6. Smart Tech Limited had agreed with the Revenue Authority that profits for tax purposes should be computed on the basis of proportionate cash collected from the customers for the year's sales. So, what percentage are we going to use? Because we have gotten our adjusted profit is 44,864. What percentage? So, we will not take that percent of that. As you can see, number 6, point number 6, as you can see, how this company agreed with the revenue authority on how to be taxed. Point number 6, we are being told that Smart Tech Limited had agreed with the revenue authority that profits for the tax purposes should be computed on the basis of proportionate cash collected from the customers for the year. So the first thing is to ask yourself how much of cash was collected. So we take the cash collected over the total sales times 100. You get establish that percentage. Now, I believe the cash collected, we are given point number 3. We have to look at point number 3. We are given the cash collected for the year ended that 1st December 2023. A total of 2460 computers were sold, and the company and received total cash of 86,600,000 from the sales. So that is the total cash collected. Now you take the 86,600,000, you divide by the total sales, and we got our total sales as 147,600 from where we started. Our sales here, our sales was 147,600. So you'll be taking to get the percentage now to use. Don't use that percent as with the other companies. You take 86,600,000 over 147,600,000 times 100. So you can see there what you have done. Now let me show you that particular portion of the workings. Now I said profit for tax purposes should be computed on the basis of proportionate cash collected. Cash collected, you are given 86,600,000. So you are taking 86,600,000 over total sales. The total sales you calculated, you got 147,600. That is what you started with from the start. Then times 100, you get 58.7%. So that is this figure now. You got your adjusted profit at 44,864. So you take 58.7 times 44,864. So the tax to pay is 26,335.167, something like that. So that is the tax to pay. Adjusted, a total adjusted profit you multiply by that figure. Now this is not total adjusted profit. Now this is tax to be paid. So you can look at your workings for that question. April 2024, question 5C. April 2024, question 5C. You have your sales here, repossessions, net sales, cost of sales, we earn other incomes, you less allowable expenses, and then everything else is there. So the workings is there, and the answers are there. So that is your answer for that particular question. April 2024, question 5C, advanced taxation. The answers should be there. Now with that, I can finalize that question by just presenting the question back again to you. The original, if you do not have the past paper, the original question was there. Question 5C. Question 5C. 5C is there. You are told to compute the total taxable income or loss of Smart Tech Limited for the year ended that 1st December. Total taxable income or loss. Total taxable income or loss of Smart Tech Limited for the year ended that 1st December. So that was a question. And the solutions again have been given. Now maybe I can give you an assignment. I can give you one assignment. Take an assignment September 2021. September 2021. Question 3B. Question 3B. You can take that one as your assignment. I can just briefly show you the question. I can briefly show you the question. And then you can attempt. You can attempt the question. The question is there. And we are told the following information was presented to you by the management of Credit Lenders Limited as at that 1st December 2020. The company deals in the sale of manufacturing machines on hire purchase terms. Number one, the company purchases the machines at shilling 600,000 each. Number two, the hire purchase price per unit comprises of a deposit of shillings 160,000 and 8 quarterly installments of shillings 80,000. Cash price per unit is shillings 700,000. Number three, during the year ended at 1st December 2020, the company sold 4,080 manufacturing machines, of which collections of shillings 569 600 million. Of these 569 million 600,000 were received at year end. Okay. Number four. During the year, the company repossessed 80 machines which had been sold earlier in the year. The customer had already paid shillings 6.4 million on the unit which was included in the total cash collections for the year. The repossessed units were valued at shillings 520,000 each at year end. Number 5, expenses incurred in the course of the year included rent for 20,000, legal expenses 1.2 million, of which 320,000 was in respect of defense against illegal importation of a machine. Advertising and marketing 525,000. Salaries and management expenses 890. Purchase of a mobile forklift in August 2020 2.8 million. Other incomes included royalties, of which 289,750 net of withholding tax. Dividend from Uzima Cooperative Society, shillings 120,000 net of withholding tax. The Revenue Authority has reached an agreement with the company whereby profit for tax purposes will be determined on the basis of proportionate cash collected from the customers for the year's sales. Required taxable profit or loss for Credit Lenders Limited for the year ended at 1st December 2020. I just check that question. I just look at it. I just go through it. 3B. 3B. You go through that question. Should be able to go through that question. 3B. The entire question is there. Now, because we have done the previous question with you, that's your assignment, September 2021. Because we have done the previous question with you, and you know the idea. Now, first take that question as your assignment. But again, if you are not able to get the answer, I will be kind enough to give you a clue. So you have a clue there of the answer of your assignment. First attempt the question. You can mark for yourself. You can mark for yourself for that assignment. The solutions are there. But first attempt the question. Attempt the question, and then you can mark for yourself. The sales will be there, repossessions, net sales, cost of sales, allowable expenses, taxable profit. Check how we got 17.5. Then you earn other incomes, which includes royalty income and dividends, and everything else is there. We have shown working number 1. Now we have also profit for tax purposes, how to be determined. How we got 17.5. How we got 17.5%. So everything is there. The answer has been presented to you. Okay, I think we are okay with that solution for that. But meanwhile, I advise that you first take the question. That is your assignment. First take the assignment. Now, I think that's enough discussion for hire purchase. We say that what hire purchase is all about. You sell the goods to a purchaser. The purchaser pays a deposit the remaining balance is paid, it is subdivided equally into installments, maybe 12 months or 24 months or even that 6 months, whichever period you agree, but you are paying a little amount each month. Then by the end of this hire purchase agreement, you are supposed to have completed all the installments. If you default in making the payments, the seller has a right to repossess the goods. So once he repossesses the goods, most of the times you may end up losing all the deposit, your deposit, you lose your deposit, you also lose all the installments that you had paid. However, this is for the purpose of our computations here, our taxation purpose. But if you study commercial law, there are legal provisions which governs how hire purchase agreements should be operated. Now, if, for example, you are paid maybe a third of the total hire purchase price, the law does not permit the owner taking or repossessing the goods. That is as far as the legal perspective, or the ask from the legal perspective. We don't expect situations whereby you are paid more than a third or a particular percentage, so to say. The seller is not permitted or is not allowed to possess the goods. Okay, but what we are saying here with the hire purchase is that you pay a deposit, the balance you pay by installments by the end of this hire purchase agreement, and then you are supposed to have paid the balance in full, and then ownership now passes to you. If you default the payment, the owner can repossess the goods. So the hire purchase price is always higher than the cash price. You have given the reasons for that. And the hire purchase price is given by you take the deposit plus the number of installments times the amount that you are paying per each installment. That's how you get the hire purchase price. For the tax purposes, we have explained how taxation of hire purchase is done. That's enough for that. So we continue with a revision for other chapters as time goes on. So remember to subscribe to our YouTube, FATIMA Institute, so that you may continue getting updates as time goes on and as you continue waiting for the examination. So that's enough for that. We continue with other topics and subtopics for the purpose of revision. I think that's enough for today. So let's meet next lesson. Okay.